Hello, this is Zachtronics Solitaire Collection. So Zachtronics, a company who mostly make games about like optimizing machines and optimizing coding and routines and stuff. Some of which are too work-like for me, some of which are too work-like for a lot of people. And they also make completely different things. But one common little trick they've been doing is a lot of their games, maybe all of their games, come with some version of Solitaire. I shouldn't say it's a version of Solitaire actually, because one thing I've learned is that Solitaire is not a game. Solitaire is like, it's not even a genre really, it's just like, it just means single player card game. Oh, it doesn't even mean single player card game, because I used to play a little marble game that was just called Solitaire, and the only thing that the word Solitaire refers to is the fact that it's single player, which is insane. Like, you know, in video games, single player is not a genre, multiplayer is not a genre. Those are just like binary definitions within which many different genres exist. And yeah, saying it's a Solitaire game is not saying much. The one that I really clicked with early on was Shenzhen Solitaire, and I've done a video about this. I'm going to load it up real quick just to sort of talk about it for context. This is not the game I'm going to talk about today, but Shenzhen Solitaire is not just a variation on Solitaire, but okay, when I say Solitaire in this video, I'm going to be referring to the card game that actually comes with most versions of Windows that is about putting cards in order. I have since I did that video, I learned that Shenzhen Solitaire is more of a variation of free cell, because you have these 3 free cells that you can put any card into, and you are trying to stack cards in order. They have to go in descending order of number, and the same suit can't go twice in a row. So this 9 and 8, it's fine. Like, it randomly deals cards in whatever order. They don't have to be valid orders. But I would not be allowed to place this 8 on that 9. I can place this red 8 on the green 9. I can't put it back on the red 9 because that's the same suit. I can put it on this black 9. And ultimately you want to get them all in the right order. And then there is these special symbol things. These are dragons. And you need to expose all the dragons at once. I really like this game. I liked it a lot more than whatever the hell the game was that came with it. I don't even remember. Was there a... yeah, Shenzhen IO. Okay, that's what the game was called. In fact, yeah. I'm so glad that they released the Solitaire games all as one collection. I really like this one too. I don't remember how it works, so I'm not going to play it today. I'm pleased with it partly because, you know, for a lot of these games I got more out of the Solitaire than I did out of the game itself. Shenzhen IO I didn't play hardly at all. It didn't make sense to me. Sigmar's Garden came with Opus Magnum. Opus Magnum I love. That's my favorite Zachtronics game. It's really good. I think I did a video on it. It's both lovely to look at, it's easy to understand, but there's tons of scope for optimization, and it's really... The thing that's great about Zachtronics games is you can optimize in so many different ways, and Opus Magnum really bore that out, where you can... Optimizing for like the fewest cycles to combine these weird elements into... It's based on like false alchemy, like, you know, you remember alchemy, this thing that's wrong? It's based on that, but sticks to rigid rules, and you must combine molecules, or whatever you call them, elements in certain ways to produce gold or whatever. And doing that in like the fewest cycles is one challenge, doing it with the smallest machine is one challenge, doing it at the cheapest machine is one challenge, doing it, I can't remember what the other metrics are, maybe least time, or the simplest code, I don't know. There's tons of different ways to be good at it. Anyway. Since they released this Solitaire collection, I knew I would love it because I love their Solitaire games a lot. Mostly more than their games. And I'd never played more like Solitaires. If you'd asked me to name Zachtronics games before I fired this up, even today, having loved this Solitaire variant, I couldn't have told you what game it came from. But this is the least visually appealing Solitaire game they've ever done. It looks... Let's scroll through them. Like, this one's interesting, it's not card based. All the others look nice in their own way. This one reminds me of Air, Land and Sea. This one was very stylish in its own way. Shenzhen Solitaire is a really nice middle ground of like a Windows feeling program, but also has a bit of style to it. This one, man, I need to play this one. This looks amazing. This is the most visually attractive one. CLUJ Solitaire looks ugly as hell. It's super basic, but I've been playing it recently, and I think it's the most elegant and best game of all the ones I played. So, starting a new game here. It's dealing cards. I think this is pure random. I don't think it does any fudging to make sure the deal is solvable. right away you can just tell this is the simplest one of them all, right? Every other game I just showed you had some kind of extra UI element, some kind of extra thing it needed to communicate. This doesn't even have suits. I mean, it does have suits, but they don't matter at all. Like, the only thing that's complicated and weird about it is a completely unnecessary thing, which is that, so the number cards go from 6 to 10. Slightly arbitrary, that doesn't really matter, it's not complexity. The fact that there are no cards lower than 6 is not a thing the player needs to know. You will just figure that out as you play. You don't even need to figure it out, it's just, it will never come up. But the only weird thing about it is that the face cards, rather than being Jack, Queen, King, Ace, are... I actually can't say it in reverse order. I'm going to have to say TKDV. So T is the highest, K is the next, D is the next, then V is the next. So a 10 can go on a V. It can't go on a T. Only a K can go on a T. I think of it... I think it's maybe... Let me see. Say anything about context? We're early enough in the game. I could just quit out actually and just read this thing, because I think there might be. Is there a Russian theme? Yeah, a Russian style deck. So yeah, the face cards are a new sequence of letters V, D, K, T. That is the only thing that's hard to understand about the game, and honestly, it's completely unnecessary. They shouldn't have done it. It's just a needless complication to an otherwise very elegant game. That's what I love about this game. Is it's so elegant. There are no free cells. There are no special slots, there are no dragons, there are no weird extra requirements, and yet it has all of the juice, all of the difficulty, all of the complication, all of the extra considerations that Zachtronics Solitaire games have that make me love them and make me want to keep playing them. When I don't play Solitaire, like whatever Windows Solitaire is, it's not interesting to me. Some of the time it's not solvable. It just feels like very rote. I haven't played a lot of Free Cell, maybe that would appeal to me more, but I'm pretty confident that Shenzhen Solitaire is just a better version of Free Cell. And this, to me, is just it feels like the ultimate form of these Solitaire games. One of the things that Solitaire games always have is like a strict order that you need to place things in. And there are some things that are going to be trickier than others to figure out. This one, the central twist in it is... I'll bring up the instructions so you can read them, but I won't wait for you to read them. You are trying to stack them in order. Like I say, the face card order is a bit counterintuitive, but it's not too difficult. In this scenario, I could drag this K over to this T. TKDV is the order. I have to keep saying that to myself. I've discovered I can play this game... The TKDV makes perfect sense to me when I'm sober. If I'm even a little bit drunk, I'm like, what? A V can't go on a K? What are you talking about? It's like, it's the first bit of memory that gets erased when I have had a drink. I've had a few drinks today, so we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's the thing that's not really that hard to learn, but it is needlessly obtuse. Why not just make them A, B, C, D, or whatever? Or even just numbers. It could just, since we stop at 6, why isn't it just the numbers 9 to 1? That's 9 cards in the same order. It would work way better. Anyway, I'm not going to rant about that. The central thing about this game, it has no free cells, but you are allowed to move one card. You can move a single card to an invalid position. Normally you can't place a V on a V, but here they have placed a V on a V. You're allowed to do that, and it goes white. It's now a cheating card. A cheating card can only be moved to a valid position. So you can't move that V onto any other position. Even though normally you're okay to move one card to a bad position, you can't move a card that's already in a bad position to another bad position. You have to only move to a valid position. And you also can't stack anything on top of it. So this is the end of this stack. This stack is never going to get anything new on top of it unless you solve that V. And so when I get back to the game, the way that's going to factor in is that as I move stuff around, I need to really think about how I'm going to solve problems. So anything that can be just validly placed is pretty safe to do. I won't say it's always the best move, but it's pretty safe. I've now got a V exposed. Like I say, the order is TKDV. V is the last one. The way I remember it, to be honest, that's the most important one to remember, is what is the lowest value face card. And the way I remember that V is the lowest value face card is V is Roman numerals for 5. And okay, 5 is not relevant, don't think about that, but it's a number. V is the only one that reminds me of a number. And so it's closest to the numbers. And so I know I can put a 10 on a V. And in fact, I know I can put a V on a D. These are kind of backwards. It should be TK. So I can't put this back on there. It's not going to let me. It should be TK, then DV. DV I remember is driving. Like, I think of DV Is it DVLA? Driver? No, I don't know what. But I can't remember what the acronym is in America, but there's an American acronym for the place where you get your driver's license from. I don't see much to do with these two T's are annoying. Anytime you've got the same card at the bottom of a stack is usually pretty unhelpful. If I could move that T off, I could put the D on the K, and then I can move the K back onto a T. But if I put the T on top of another T, that's not going to work because the T will be a cheating card, and I can't put anything on top of a cheating card. So I might want to put this T on somewhere else, then move the D onto the K, and then move the K and all the subsequent cards onto the T, this T that I haven't fucked up. And then I can move the T back, I think. Let's try that, just to see if I'm right. When I'm placing, this is the best thing about this game. It's both simpler in terms of there's no extra UI elements, and it's deeper, I think, because my free cells really are every other stack. Every stack is a free cell. I have 5 free cells here. But where am I going to put this? I really have to think about it. I don't want to put it on top of the T, because later I'm going to need a T to put this K on. And so for every card that you want to move to a temporary spot, the nature of every temporary spot factors into that decision. And there's a ton of considerations there. So what I want to put it on, this is nascent thinking. I have not figured this game out fully. But my theory is that if a stack is short, you probably don't want to block it with an invalid card, because there's a chance you might be able to get rid of all these cards and then free up a whole slot. That's nice. So what you want to do is put it on top of a stack that is probably quite long, but at the same time doesn't have anything useful in it, because anything you want to unearth, like looking at this thing, I've got a bunch of 6s, so 7s are good for me. Actually, this 6, 7, 8 would like a 9. 9s would be nice for me. 9s would be nice in general because 9s can go on top of 10s. So anywhere there's a 9, that's a place I might want to dig into. That's a stack I might want to start offloading cards to get to the 9. So I like this stack on the left. I like this one here. I like this one too. It's got 2 9s. 7s are mostly in this stack, so they're all kind of good. There isn't like a clear one that I can completely forget about. I'm tempted to sort of forget about this stack. It's got 2 6s, 2 10s. It does have a 7, which I do want, and it is quite short, which is nice. But in general, I think I'm going to need that less than others. So I'm just going to put the T there for now. And now this K can go on top of this T, and I haven't really lost anything because I can move this T over to this empty slot. Am I going to do that though? Is that because I can move anything to an empty slot? The great thing about empty slot is I can move a stack, so I can move the 8 7 6 there, which I can't do. I can't move the 8 7 6 onto here. That's an illegal move. You can do an illegal move with one card. You can't do an illegal move with a stack. So I'd love to expose a 9 so that this 8 7 6 could go on it, and then also the 9 could go on a 10. And I've got tons of 10s. I notice there's DV here. TKDV is a valid pattern. So if I move the 10 off, I could... Oh no, I don't need to move the 10 off. I can actually just do this straight away. TKDV 10. That's valid. So now I can move the 9 here, and then I can move this 8 7 6. When I move this T off, having a T as a cheat card is a little bit of a big swing, because the T can't ever go on top of anything except an empty slot. So I can only ever undo this, you know, while it's there, it's blocking this stack. I can only ever undo that block by freeing up a slot here, which is, yeah, probably one of the worst cards to put in a cheat slot. But I think it paid off here. I think we're good. I think this hasn't bitten me in the ass yet. This 7 8, obviously I want to reverse that order, but I'd need a 9 to do it. I can move this V and 10 onto a D for sure. Now it's TDV. There should be a K in there. I think of, I don't know if this would be helpful to you, but I think of T as the Emperor and K as the King, and then DV, like I think of it as driving, but a sort of Duke, and then I don't know, Valet. If you just want some like shorthand to try and remember this order, it is, yeah, it's tough to remember. So moving this, I can move this whole thing over there. This is actually a full stack now. From T down to 6 is all of the cards. 6 is the lowest card in this game. Again, it's weird. It should just be the numbers 1 to 9, and they're way easier. I can move it there. As soon as I move there, it will collapse. And when it collapses, that's cool. It's nice that I've sorted out a whole... You know, I've only got to do that 4 times and I've won the game. But after it collapses, I can't put any cards on top of that. right now I can put cards in that slot. I can put cards on top of invalid things and move them back. As soon as I do that, I'm kind of losing one of my free cells. So I don't want to do that unless I have to. I may have to. But for now, I'm looking at this T. I'm thinking if this T would be a good thing to put there, as long as I can put a K onto it. I see a 10. I can only really use 10 with a 9. I'd love to get this 9. As soon as I get this 9, I can also get the 8. And that could also get the T, potentially. I don't really want the T. But anyway, I think this V would be a good thing to move. Like if I move this V here, I can put the 10 on it right away. This is not cheating yet, so I'm not taking up any slots really. And now I could move this 8. I think I want to move this 8, because if I move this 8, I can get to this 7, which I'm going to want anyway. And then this D, that can go on top of a king, which it already is on top of a king. Interesting. So if I had a 10, I could go there. This T is getting very awkward now. This is the price of putting my V there, is now I can't really move this V anywhere except for a king. There is a king there. And if I could just get rid of this D, then that's fine. Wait, no. Sorry. There's no problem, right? The V goes on the D. Yeah, brilliant. So now I can actually put the T there. I think this is right. It's the last thing I ever figure out about these solitaire games is like, are there things that are always a good idea, or do you have to like relentlessly think through every decision? So stuff like this, my gut tells me this is probably a good idea. I can't say for sure that I can prove this is always a good idea, but it just feels right. Like anytime you end up with a single card in a slot like this, that's kind of nice because I can put this wherever I like. A single card can go wherever you like. It's very flexible. So this only needs a 6 and then it actually will compile into a stack. As I say, compiling to a stack is not, it is the ultimate objective, but it's not always a good thing. You don't always want to do that as early as possible. I'm still on the verge of figuring that out. Often I will just compile a stack, and then I think afterwards, fuck, I would love to have an extra slot here. And yes, having more free cells is good, but there's a trade-off, right? Because this is not sorted out. The 6 that should be on here is blocking other stuff. So anytime you can move a 6 onto it, it's kind of good, isn't it? Because you're not really wasting a free cell, because this whole thing, I don't know. It is hard to figure out the exact, which is a sign of a good game, I think, that you can't, there aren't super clear, simple rules that completely define it. I am tempted to put the 6 on here, though, just to get rid of the 6. After I put the 6 on there, I could put the 10 on the V. I could move the V to here, but that doesn't really help, especially. What do I want to do? I'm looking for Ks, really, and there's 2 Ks down here, so that's the problem. Yeah, and I can't, this D doesn't really go anywhere, which is a shame. So I could move this V over to here. I don't want to do that because while it's here, this thing is a single card move to free up a whole slot. And that's more and more feeling like the right thing to do. I'm looking at this stack here and thinking that's quite a good one to block off because yes, it's got a 7. A 7 would be lovely right now, but I have a 7 available. I can use it. There's only one 6 that needs a home, so I can home all my 6s. I can get to another 7 pretty quickly here. The TDV thing, it's close to the sequence it'll end up as. I don't think I'm going to need any of those cards anytime soon. I might be wrong, but I'm thinking about just blocking this off. So obviously at any time I can move this over here. I don't think that really helps me right now. Freeing up a 10, I don't know, it could have been good. I don't know. So my instinct was telling me to do this. Because then I get rid of the, let's see, I would get rid of the 6 onto the 7. Frees up a 9 and an 8, which can go on a 10. Actually, you kind of want to, I'm going to do it anyway. Let's just see how it goes. Oh, that was a completed stack. I didn't actually notice I was doing that, but okay, that's happened. Not a disaster. I'm looking at, so if I put this 6 on that 7, this 6 has nowhere to go, but I can still temporarily put it somewhere. But the same is true of that one. So maybe I'm gonna do this. Oh shit, that could be this stack as well. I forgot about that. I did notice that, I just forgot that it was gonna happen. So my stacks are getting kind of low, and this one's a cheating card. Generally, when you make a cheating card, you want to have a plan for where you're going to put it. A D can go on a K, so I should have had a plan for exposing this K. I kind of do. I think I kind of do. If I put the 6 here, the 9 and the 8 can go there. The D can then go there. The V can go there. Then the 10, 9, and 8 can go on top of the V. And then 7 can go on top of there. And then this V can go on top of that D. The 10 can go on top of the V. The 6 can go on top of the 7. Oh shit, maybe I should have done that one. But that's the kind of run that you're after. And I'm looking at this, I'm thinking this whole stack can move. If we had a T down there, that would be a good place to move it to. I'm sort of, my instinct tells me when you have a cheating card and you can get rid of it, make it non-cheating, you should. Because one thing that, mostly these rules are very simple and intuitive. One thing that will sometimes trip you up is you get used to this idea that you can always move one card to an invalid position. You can always move one valid card to an invalid position. If it's already in an invalid position, you can't move it to another invalid position. And sometimes you're like, fuck, this matters. In fact, maybe I can demonstrate this because, let me think. So, this one I can't move off to a different position. But I can move this one. Sometimes you can move a valid card and then move an invalid card to the valid card, and then in that way. Let's say I didn't have this free slot. I can't move the 6 to this 10. If I wanted to move that 6 to that 10, I would instead move this 6 to that 10, and then move the white 6 over to there. So you can kind of effectively do it as long as you have 2 cards of the same number, which is kind of interesting. Again, suits don't matter at all here. They should not even be in the game, in my opinion. I think it would be really interesting to make a pure version of this game where it's just numbers 1 to 9, no suits at all. But I appreciate why they wanted to make it look a bit like a card game. And also, you can play this with real cards. That's why I'm curious about whether it fudges the deals at all to make sure it's possible. Because my feeling about this game is I think it's always possible. Because I've had runs where I think, oh, this is the worst deal you can get. Like, all the kings are up here, or... the worst thing is the reverse order, right? If the lowest cards at the bottom, the highest cards at the top, it's going to be so much organizing. I suppose that maybe that is provably impossible, but I've had a lot of bad deals where I think, oh, this can't be done, and then I look at it and I look at it and I think, oh, wait, hang on, you could do this, and then like suddenly you just break the back of the problem, and the whole thing falls into place, and it's so satisfying. That's one of the reasons that I really am going to bat for this game, is that it doesn't feel like it's lost any of the depth of Shenzhen Solitaire. It feels like it's just as complex and interesting. So from here, I'd love to put this K onto a T. This 6 could just go there, but exposing this 8 doesn't really help me, does it? What? The 8 is going to help with that 7. It's going to help with this 9. I suppose putting it here is actually... Fucking hell. It's a loud knock back outside. It's kind of free to do because I can put it back. Like, this is a free action to do it and redo it. So moving this 8 off could let me put this K on a T. Freeing up a K, which I suppose that is good, as long as I don't block this. So, should I do that if I put this 8 on there? Yeah. Because I can't move a whole stack to an invalid position, but this is a valid position. And now this king can take the DV, then the king can go on the T, and the T can go back there. Let me think before I do this, because this isn't quite what I want. I might want to do this instead. I put the T over there, that compiles, that's fine, because now I'm going to put the 9 on the 10, lets me free up the 8. I can't put the 6 on there, but now this whole T stack goes on here, 6 goes on the 7, 7 goes on the 8, and it's done. That is so satisfying to me, and let me quit out of this. My win count is only 1 because I've actually been playing on iPad. Oh, now it's back down to 0 apparently. It's it's rated as difficulty 2 out of 5, so it's rated as like one of the easiest ones. I think Is there anything easier than that? Oh, Sawayama Solitaire is rated easier than that. I'm not going to play that now. But Sigmar's Garden is... I suppose I did complete it most of the times I played it. Yeah, okay. It's actually... There are only 3 that are more difficult than it, including Shenzhen, which I don't find too difficult. But this one is so simple. The rules are real easy to learn. There's no special UI elements. It's just this one little trick of you're allowed to cheat a little bit. You're allowed to put a card somewhere it wouldn't be. But then there are very strict rules on how you can cheat, which is funny. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's elegant. It's so few rules, and yet it feels... I've had much more uppy-downy kind of runs with this, where it's just like, oh, this can't be done. Oh, wait! Oh my god, it can be done! And then it all works out perfectly. So far, I've never had a deal that just feels like, I'm just screwed. What I have had is runs where like I make one mistake, and then I'm like, I'm screwed now, because I did that. I shouldn't have done that. And sometimes it's entirely my fault. Other times it's because of the TKDV thing, which is fucking bullshit. Like, just, why add that complication? I know these are very stylish, and it's not really about making a great game so much as fitting the theme of the surrounding game and making sure it fits with the parent game. But yeah, if it was me, this is so close to a beautiful level of elegance that why not just make it 1 to 9 and then strip out every extraneous rule, make it the most understandable, the most approachable, the most learnable game of this kind, and show off how much depth it has, because it seems to have loads.